What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a tip against the CPU within Madden 23, and this has been for Madden for many years. Something that is going to help improve your gameplay or something that you can utilize to influence the CPU. And so that tip is going to be that when you user a defensive lineman against the CPU, it's going to make the CPU quarterback play and respond differently than if you were to user a player in coverage. So let's go ahead and run through a couple of examples here. I'm going to select a dime formation, and I'm going to go with a type of shotgun formation, maybe a verticals type of a play to get the quarterback to try to get rid of the ball after a longer period of time. What I want to show you guys is I'm going to user a linebacker here on the first play, and we'll see how much time Lamar Jackson takes in the pocket before he throws off the ball. That was a pretty significant amount of time. Let's go ahead to the instant replay and actually take a look at how much time he took. So if we go live gameplay, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, and the ball is to the receiver. So close to 4 seconds there, and I'm sure that my Mississippis are not necessarily accurate to an actual timer, but nonetheless a pretty significant amount of time that he takes before he throws the football. My defensive line didn't get a whole lot of pressure or anything like that, but that's going to change tremendously when you user the defensive line, whether you're successful or unsuccessful at block shedding and doing a move against an offensive line. Under the same exact situations, I'm going to utilize Cam Hayward here, and I'm going to make a pass rush move. And we can see that I did have some success utilizing that pass rush move against Lamar, but he got the ball out of his hands significantly quicker. This would happen if I did not pressure him or not. The CPU quarterbacks recognize when you're utilizing the D-line, and it triggers them to throw the ball quicker. As you can see here, as opposed to waiting for the open running back, he now forces a ball downfield into one-on-one coverage, which could potentially be intercepted. Now, that's not necessarily a bad throw or anything like that. The receiver had a chance at bringing that down, but let's count. We were at 4 Mississippi before. Let's see how long it takes this time. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and the football's out of his hand. Now, this is a verticals play, so I'm trying to draw out his time in the pocket as much as I possibly can. This is going to be significantly highlighted whenever they're not just running verticals, whenever they actually potentially have other open receivers. And what actually happens here is that the CPU is capable of recognizing an open receiver at all times. They are much smarter than the average person, and so if there's an open receiver and you trigger any type of pressure or any type of read by that quarterback, they're going to throw the ball to that open receiver. So now we're going to try to call this nickel cover 3 against a double ins play and see how long it takes for Lamar to respond. That time he actually rolls out of the pocket before throwing to a receiver. And yes, of course, we have some pretty good coverage here with the user, but I'm really not covering him that well. He has a window right here where he could certainly throw to his receiver coming across the field, and he has other options available. He could throw this curl, he could stay in the pocket and wait a second and throw it to this guy, but nonetheless, he has not necessarily gotten the ball out of his hands. Again, let's go ahead back and time this and count how long it takes for him to actually get the ball out of his hands here. So, pressing X, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, before he ever crosses. It was about 3 Mississippi or 3.5 seconds before he decided to tuck it and run. However, utilizing the same exact formula, let's go ahead and bull rush with Cam Hayward, and we get an absolutely perfect example of what the CPU does anytime it recognizes a blitz. Now again, there's a difference here. I'm not necessarily covering the tight end straight up, but he's not necessarily wide open here per se. He's not any more open than he was whenever I was user covering him. I had poor user coverage, to be honest with you, and they could have completed this pass to Mark Andrews whenever I was user covering it anyway. So what happens here? What he recognizes is a bull rush move by Cam Hayward. Whether I win that move or not, he's going to throw that ball out of his hand. And I want to give you guys one more example out of this that I used to utilize to accomplish MUT challenges and things like that, and is a good reason for why this is the case, and a good example for why this is the case, rather. Let's go ahead real quick and time this, because we were at 3 to 4 seconds to get the ball out of his hand or make a decision before. Now we're at 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. We didn't even get to to Mississippi before he gets this ball out of his hands to his hot read, who is Mark Andrews, who is wide open. And the implication of this, real quick, before I go on to my final example, is that people that are newer to the game, or people that like to utilize the D-line, go up against the CPU and might not realize that they're getting picked apart on defense for the exact reason that they're utilizing the D-line. Anytime you utilize the D-line, you're going to trigger the quarterback to get the ball out of their hands quicker. This isn't something that a lot of people know that are D-line users, or I would say a lot of people that I've played with recently didn't know this anyway, and it's something you definitely should know that is a way to influence the CPU, and this could negatively affect you because, again, I like to utilize the D-line from time to time, but when you're doing it against a CPU, you're potentially hurting yourself because the quarterback is going to make a read, and they're potentially making their open read earlier than they normally would based on the just general programming of the game. So we now get to our final example of the game here, which is getting the CPU to throw the football. What you can do is you can come out in a field goal block or a punt block and audible out of it to get the CPU to throw the football. So let's say they're coming out and trying to run the football against you. You're going to trigger them to audible to a passing play. That's going to trigger them to pass the football. But what you ideally want to do, if you're trying to force interceptions, and again, like I said, I utilize this for MUT challenges to get interceptions, to get incompletions and things like that, what you're going to do is you're going to switch on to one of these defensive linemen and immediately utilize a pass rush move, a bull rush move, or something of that nature. See how I'm audibling when they audible, and then I'm going to try to bull rush with one of these guys that are on the line and trigger an immediate throw by the quarterback, and that's going to give me opportunities to intercept the ball. Clearly, I'm not doing the best at it right now. I'm not using my MUT team, so I don't have all of the guys that are great at getting to the football or anything like that. Certainly Devin Bush is not going to be the best at reacting to the ball, but I think you guys can kind of see the point at what we're getting at here. So you come out in a punt block formation, you get them to audible to a pass because no one's going to run against 10 guys in the box or whatever it is, and then you use an instant bull rush or something like that to get the quarterback to lob the ball up quickly. Because that's what they're going to do. If you come out in a straight rush as a punt team, they're going to try to throw some verticals against you and get that ball deeper downfield. And they did just that right here. They quickly throw the ball. And if I was switching on to Devin Bush appropriately, I'm able to get a nice little interception right there. Nonetheless, that's the video for you guys, and that's the information I want you to know, which is that if you utilize the defensive line and try to block shed or use a power or finesse move against an offensive lineman, you're going to trigger the quarterback to make a throw. That's incredibly important to know if you are somebody that plays the CPU or you're somebody that ever uses the defensive line within the game against a CPU opponent. Like I said, I hope that this information was useful to you guys. If it taught you something or increased your knowledge about the game, leave a like, subscribe to the channel so that I can continue to do that for you, and leave a comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a good one.